Oh my God! Like monkeypox, we're back.
Is monkeypox back? That was it,
back.
right?
No, it's back.
Cool.
It came back.
Oh, cool.
But it hasn't spread really badly because the Queens, we all ran and got shots. Like we all did. We were like, we're not doing this again. Oh,
and so did the monkeys. It's
ImmaLetYouFinish, show number 195. We're back from our holiday week. Hope you guys had a good holiday week and things and all of that.
Like, who cares? 4th of July, whatever. Who cares?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Whatever.
We're on the Pantheon Podcast Network. It's Courtney, Amy, all of the things.
Oh yeah, all the things. We haven't changed.
I want to act like it's hot. It is hot in New York, but literally, my friend sent me just the other night. It was like 7 p.m. She lives in Vegas. She just sent the temperature.
It's 500 million degrees there.
118 degrees.
It's 124 in Palm Springs.
Yeah, and it's like going up to 130 something in Death Valley.
But no global warming. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here, kids.
And it's the AKAs had Boulé this week in Dallas, and I heard Dallas was just boiling.
That was way too much blackness for me at this early in the morning. You got to work me back into it. I was just in Connecticut. I didn't see any black people. I have to talk about anything black for 4 freaking days. But work me back into it. I know what they are, but I was pretending because that's my role to play like I don't know what the hell people are talking about when they talk about things that anyone who is white. I'll regale you with my information about the Jack and Jill Society later on, okay? Anyway, speaking of black people, come on, Salt. Bring it. Bring it.
Let me just tell you something. Nothing is better than a surprise drop from a group that everybody loves, that we kind of feel like we know who's in it, but we don't really 100% know who's in it because it's a collective.
Do we have really? I mean, I feel like Banksy could be in this group.
Well, we know that Cleo Soul is part of them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Cleo Soul is
cool.
Part.
Okay,
but it's a collective of people. Listen, they make to me really great albums. Yes. It was really. I love that they usually give them away for free. It's like for a limited time. I want to say the link was for 3 days to download.
That explains, because a couple people were posting and I directed them to our page, but that might explain why there was, plus I have to assume everybody and their mother was clicking on to get it, Yeah,
but it was a 3-day link. So if you didn't get it, but I have it downloaded. Did you download it?
I did download it, yeah.
And it's great. And it's a 32-minute album.
Right.
And it comes as one track. So it plays as one track. I love it. And I think that the music is great. And they're just jazzy and R&B and just really, it's just good stuff, man. And it's also,
I mean, you got to either admire their business model or wonder about their business model. Right. But it's great. And it is really, I got turned on to them several years ago by a friend of mine. And then, of course, I started, you have to sort of, everybody is into them.
Yeah,
I mean, people you would think like indie rock people, country people, and so that speaks a lot. And I will talk about this a little bit later because I'm going to talk about a documentary that's out right now that is screaming out Courtney M. Anderson like nobody's business. But it harkens back to that late 90s talking loud, British. It really harkens back, which for a lot of us is like the era of eras.
Giant step. It has that sort of
very
energy.
much.
Absolutely.
Very much. All that kind of Young Disciples-esque energy. So these are clearly people whose parents were listening to Young Disciples.
Yeah. What I love about it is like when you're talking about the business model, it feels like to me a bunch of musicians who clearly, they have their careers, they're making money in other ways, who for the love of actually making music and making great music, come together to make these projects and put them out, right? Because the last time it was the 5 albums, I remember they dumped them all for free, and that was another one with a limited WeTransfer file. And the music is just always great. It feels free. It doesn't feel like we're having to have a target track and a single. It's just great. Greatly produced, written, The vocals are always great. And they've given us they've given us albums that have been more dancey. They've given us albums that have been more R&B. They've given us albums that have been more like experimental jazz. And this one is just another really solid piece of work. And it was a welcome surprise, because that's another thing. I love that no one sees it coming. They just are like, boom, here's a record.
Right. It's always a pleasant surprise, and it is always, and you know, we streaming is the reality of the world, so we're not going to complain about streaming, but it is really great to see a group that maintains a fervent fan base solely based on listening as opposed to consuming music, and they're not concerned with the consumption in a monetary sense. They're concerned that you listen to it and enjoy it, and we are. So, yay. And I can't think of a record that was one track like that since Love Sexy, which I
still was brilliant. I love
you know, they've divided it up into songs on Spotify. Which is kind of which is kind of great and kind of not great, because part of the fun of it was that he forced you.
Well, that's not how
way.
But that's not how he intended the work to be heard. It was meant to be heard as one long piece.
Right. Well, now it's tracks. So, boo. All right. You know, we have always had a girl crush. I will count you in this. On Dua Lipa. I've always thought she was great. I mean, from the beginning. I'm not some radical about this. And so she headlined Glastonbury this year. It was the first year they live streamed it. And it's what a show is supposed to be. She delivered all of the hits, all of the maybe not as well known, but the fans know them. Yes, we've gone over this. She is not dancing. But you know what? She looks great. She moves. I enjoy the fact that she's not pretending to be something else. She can actually sing. She actually has a band. It was just great. She brought out Tame Impala. The guy's name, I can never remember the guy's name.
Kevin something.
Kevin something. Parker? Kevin Parker?
That sounds familiar. It could be.
Kevin Parker? Yeah, that sounds good. It's good enough. It's good enough. Tame Impala. He records under Tame Impala. We're going to call him Tame Impala. But it was great. I watched it. It was an hour and change. There was no dull moments. The band was great. It was boom, boom, boom. Wonderful. And it got great reviews. And anybody who complained about that show just needs to stop yelling at clouds, because you know it was just great. It was a great show. So I didn't really watch, and I love that she came out in the Shakespeare Sister t-shirt.
That's great.
Right?
I love Shakespeare Sister.
I know. I interviewed them a million years ago.
Did you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I went over on when they used to fly writers to places to talk to people.
I mean, they absolutely used to put you guys on planes. Be like, you're going to London.
You're going to London and you're staying in a really nice hotel. I went over to interview them, and then at the same trip, I interviewed Norman Cook.
Oh, wow.
With Beats. At that point, it was Beats International. Shakespeare Sister were really nice. One of them was nicer than the other, from what I remember, and you can do a guess on which one. Okay. I'm not saying she was horrible, but one of them was noticeably nicer.
Doesn't Marcella live in New York?
No, I think she's still in Detroit.
Oh.
I don't know, but she's all over Facebook and Instagram, and she's fascinating. I love
her debut solo album just celebrated a 30th anniversary, and I believe there was a new pressing with
good
remixes and all of the things, Jewel.
Yeah, good in green vinyl.
I love that album when it came out.
No,
I'm
she's
still
really
like, does
good.
Everything need an anniversary? I don't know, but I love that album.
We'll make exceptions when we like them.
Right.
And then Dua's going to be headlining Wembley, or is that what she's doing?
Yes, she's absolutely announced her very first solo stadium show. She is headlining Wembley, and she's doing an American date. She is going to be one of the headliners for the iHeart Festival that's coming up in Las Vegas. That
makes sense.
Yeah.
You and I have both said this. The more I listen to the new album, Radical Optimism, the more I like it.
I like it a lot. Listen.
I like it a lot. And Happy for You is on constant repeat to the point where I'm singing it all the time. It's a really good album. Houdini is a really good single. She's interesting. She's not doing, and it's funny because when you go back to her very early stuff like New Rules, that wasn't like Dancy, Dancy, Dancy.
Right.
That was a weird song in a lot of ways. And We're Good, which I think we go together like sleeping and cocaine. Come on. Like, what the hell? What the hell? That's a great little couplet there. Anyway. So yay Dua Lipa, we like her. Go Kosovo. I like everything about her. I got no problems with her whatsoever. And I hope she does like a real tour because I would like to start weaseling somehow my way into seeing.
Yeah, she's really interesting to me. The reaction around this new record was very surprising because I think that it's strong work. But I always wonder. I look at people sometimes and it's like, what do you want from people? I just don't know. It's like you have these artists, they're taking you on different journeys. And it's like, I understand when somebody just gives you a complete shit record. We've all been waiting for a record that's coming. You're like, oh God, this is horrible. But when a record is good and then people are just like, it's a very weird fair weather fan thing, where it's like, I like you as long as you're doing this one thing that I like when you do it.
Well, and it's just like, oh my God, she's going to do the same record all over again. So then she doesn't. Oh my God, she's not doing the record I like.
Right.
Like, I mean, come on. I mean, you either let the girl, again, it's not like she's suddenly doing like a rap record. She's basically doing what she's always done, which is giving you very smart, tight, interesting pop song. So with this one's a little less danceable, whatever, no, it's a great record. We're very happy for her. I did not watch the BET Awards. Whatever with the beat. I mean, yeah.
As someone who has been to the BET Awards more than once,
my eyeballs are sweating right now.
Let me just tell you something.
My eyeballs are literally sweating.
I'm trying to act cool.
No, my eyeballs are
But my T-shirt is literally stuck to my chest, and it's not even 10 o'clock in the morning.
No, I might next week since it would do absolutely nothing for you. Not naked, but I may just show up. I may just show up. Nobody needs to see. I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy, but I might just do a little sports bra action and be done with it. But anyway, BET Awards. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Though that does come into showing up in a bra to do a recording would play into the somewhat ratchety turn.
I mean, the thing is, listen.
I'm going to go out and get a cup of coffee.
How do I say this?
Put your clothes on, girls.
No one is dressed. And if people knew me personally, they would know how much they'd be like, if I'm saying that, who doesn't mind nudity, I don't mind you being sexy. But there's sexy, and then it's kind of like literally everyone on that stage had their ass out and they were popping their ass into the like everyone. And it got to the point where I was thinking to myself, so is this Black culture now? Because I know ratchet culture seems to be in vogue at the moment. The BET always used to show the best of what Black entertainment had.
Excellence.
So there was room for everything. And it feels like now that room for everything has been, I don't know, with all of the stuff going on with Paramount and the sale. And at first they were like, we're selling BET to Scott Mills. But then they did this deal with Skydance. And BET's still part of it. BET was part of that deal. So it feels like decisions are being made about what's being put out as the new Black excellence. And that just felt like everybody's ass out. Like the fact that now all of and this is not a judgment. Listen, I think if you like it, great. But I find it really interesting now that the line we're doing for female, I can't even call them I don't want to say MCs. When I'm thinking of MCs, I'm thinking of MCs. The rappers is everybody literally has to shake their ass in the camera. And that's like, well, are we not leaning on talent? Is this the new talent? I don't understand why this is what's being presented. And then I think, well, does this cross over to real life? And let me just tell you, I had a doctor's appointment the last week, and I was coming off the train at 125th, and I was like, I'm going to walk the rest of the way home. And there was a young lady in front of me who had to be somewhere between 18 and 21. And she had on a little mini skirt. It was like a little flare camel mini skirt. But her whole ass was out, literally. And I couldn't tell if she was wearing a panty, like a thong or nothing. So when she was walking up the stairs in front of us, we could all just see literally every. So I'm like, is this what that is bleeding into? Because I'm thinking, okay, so what's being seen as acceptable and what's being putting out there is literally have your ass out. Even Megan, who we love, her ass is always out, right?
Well, it's not just, I was going to say, it's not just the black girls, though, too. It's not because you see that in a different way. But sorry, yeah, we're saying we love Megan, but why are you doing this?
So it's like, if this is the move where everybody's just going to have their ass out, cool. But when you see it in real life, my first thought was, and I know this is going to sound crazy, I felt like a father. I was like, I'm actually concerned for you because men are assholes and they're dogs. And you're now walking around Harlem and literally you're a young lady by yourself and your ass is out.
Yeah. I think guys are immune to it in a weird way. But, well, I mean, so there's that point, which is but then at the same time, the BET Awards were the most political they've ever been. I mean, Taraji P. Henson came out and said 2025, the 2025 plan, pay attention.
Project 2025.
Thank you. She listed the things that they're going to eliminate. And then she said, I think some of you guys are pushing the wrong P's. And I thought, wow, what a great line. And now I see MC Lyte picking up that meme. So that was really important. I mean, there was a lot of controversy, I think justifiably so, that in the memoriam they put O.J. Simpson. I mean,
well, here's the thing. He was something.
Is he black? Yeah, but I mean, he was credibly accused of. I just think of all the people.
He was listen, and the weird thing about that is he wasn't found guilty. Now, whether we all want to feel like he's guilty or not is another thing. It was a choice. It was definitely a choice.
The audience did not like it, though.
Yeah, it was definitely a choice. I was like, that just made me look at the whole thing and be like,
right,
what are you presenting as black excellence to black culture? I think there was absolutely room for a ratchet section of the show. But it's like
the ratchet section.
But I've said this before and I absolutely 1000% believe it. I think BET, I think black radio has failed black people and black culture because what they do is say, we play black music and that's R&B and rap. They've made no room for black artists who are alternative. There are so many black rock bands. The fact that there's not one of our major black radio stations, even in this area, that has a black rock show. Hey, do it like you do the dance show. I listen to this house music show, Roots International, which is Kevin Hedge and Louis Vega. It comes on every Friday night on BLS from midnight to 2 a.m. That's where my station is on in the bathroom. You know, I keep a radio in the bathroom to hear just what's being played on the radio. But I'm like, fine. Why don't you do one night at midnight, give them a black rock show? You will find an audience. Where is the room for black alternative, the black country artists? We've failed black culture when it comes to just boxing ourselves in to just being these things. And I feel like BET, looking at that show, yes, Taraji said the things that she said, and I'm glad that went viral. And I'm glad that's still getting attention.
And I'm glad that they had her as a host because that was a good choice too.
Well, this was her third year in a row doing it.
Yeah, but I'm glad. I like seeing her out there because she's a smart woman and she's not a kid, which I
No,
enjoy
and
too.
she's a college educated woman. You know what I mean?
No,
I believe she has her master's degree.
No,
I believe.
she's a smart woman. I will tell you that one thing, you're talking about ratchet, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but what I find even more troubling is that Sexy Red is voting for Trump. That Amber Rose is going to speak at the Republican convention. Amber Rose. Sexy Red. So clearly,
and they can have them. Let them go.
But what I'm saying is that that they can't. Amber Rose in particular, because she has sort of fashioned herself as a feminist and not body shaming and slut walking. If these women cannot make the connection between their freedom to be who they are as women and supporting a man who hates them because they're black women, or hates them because they're women, hates them because they're black women, but will basically shut down everything in their life. That to me is like, that's really troubling as well.
I've
but that's
said this to you before. I've said it to you before, and we're not a political show, so I'm not going to drive down this lane. I have friends who are Republicans. I don't have a problem with you being a Republican. But if you are going to support this man, you don't tell me you're standing for women and you support this man. Don't tell me you stand for women right now and you can still be like, I'm going to go speak to these people who are stripping every right from women. Like, I don't think, Amy, I should have any say about any part of your body. When I see these men and they're all defending abortion bans, I'm like, it is so easy for you guys because you will never, ever, ever be pregnant. You'll never be pregnant. Ever. So you can do all of these things. You can say all of it and your beliefs and you're beating your chest because you will never be pregnant.
Well, when they have prostate exams, then we can,
Right. Well, listen, and then we'll go on to our next.
Which I am not. Yeah, I obviously do not want prostate exams.
Right.
Man,
but I always say, well, now the good part too is it's a blood test, so you don't have to.
Oh, okay. Well, they can ban Viagra. How's that?
And they would lose their shit. They would lose. The thing that I find interesting, and then we can move on, is it's how all the consequences are for women. You need to have this baby, but they've not put any rules in place for the men who get the women pregnant. There's no automatically you're obligated to 50%. It's just like, you need to have this baby. You can't have an abortion. Well, what about the men who get them pregnant?
Well, I will tell you as someone who had a baby, and once you have the baby, you're on your own.
Right.
It's like, you want to get him into daycare? Yeah, work it out on your own, Anyway, speaking of trials and men, what the hell? Okay. Is the entire... Okay, you and I both thought, not that we're fondling with rapt attention, that this Young Thug trial was over. This is Eileen Cannon running this trial? What's going on?
It's like the weirdest thing I'm so confused by what's happening. The level of confusion I have about this trial, like when I keep seeing footage, it's like, it feels like 1 minute the judge is yelling at somebody else is yelling at somebody. At this point, I don't even remember what this trial is about.
It's a RICO case, which they have, when Trump got the RICO charges, they had said they're using the same statute. But I honestly, first off, Young Thugs, okay, so now it's being delayed because there's alleged misconduct. I'm telling you, this
judge.
But this is like, what's going on in Atlanta?
This whole thing is going to be thrown out. It feels like it's on the way. It's such a disaster.
No, it's going to be thrown out. And yeah, I mean, the charges were, and then wasn't there the situation where the guy was dealing drugs in the courtroom or giving something? Wasn't there something like he was passing blood in the courtroom? Yeah, we all want justice and we believe in the American, but I'm just sort of like, who he's going to be old Thug by the time this gets done. I don't even know. Every time I look at it, I'm like, this isn't done yet.
The level of confusion I have for the entire thing, I just keep sitting there going, I don't actually understand what's happening anymore. And what are the actual charges? Because this,
like I said, it's RICO. It's RICO charges, and it has to do with basically that they're saying that Young Thug and YSL and his whole organization is basically a crime organization.
Right.
but certain people have been taken out of it, and it's just confusing. So yay. Whatever. There'll be a contest. Who will go to trial first? No, it'll probably be thrown out because it's too nuts at this point.
And now, if there's some compromise with the judge, what are you going to do? Start over? This is a mess. It's a mess. Yeah,
and can you imagine how much money he's having to spend on lawyers?
Not that I'm worried.
I'm not up all night worried about Young Thug, but I'm saying.
But this feels like millions of dollars in lawyer
easily. Easily millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And he's successful, but he's not that successful.
That's the thing. People don't realize these kind of cases can wipe you out, literally.
Well, all right. Do you want to break it down right now?
Well, no, I was going to break it at 10. I'm looking at the time to do the break.
Okay. The Knicks have all sorts of new people and all sorts. So first off, farewell, bright-skinned did.
I mean, he didn't have to take another day. Like, he kind of left almost the same as what the Knicks were going to offer him. It wasn't that much different.
Was it not? I mean, $87 million is a lot of money.
I don't believe it was going to be that much different.
But it would have taken them over their cap.
Okay, well,
if they, listen, he's great. We did love him, but let's also remember that he was the king of the foul trouble too.
Yeah, that's true.
We did love him. And
you know how I feel about when you voluntarily leave the Knicks. It's like, you're dead to us.
Right. But again, in his defense, he was in like the Who the Hell League, but he was in the G League before this. And then he sort of had his moment here. It's a business ultimately. Jalen Brunson will be buried under Madison Square Garden. He ain't going nowhere. He has said, I ain't going nowhere. But think about it. The years of people staying with their teams. Isn't Derek Jeter the only baseball player in recent memory who never left the team?
That's
who was
true.
there from the beginning to the end?
To the end of his career, absolutely.
Yeah, Willis Reed was there the whole time. So I'm upset, obviously, but I don't feel it. It's like what's it? Porzinga. I'm forgetting his name. The unicorn. I don't feel it was like one of these, I want to be traded. I think it was like he sat down and said, I'm X amount of years old. How many years do I have left?
I know, and the money. It's hard to turn down.
The money.
Yeah,
87, I know for us, we're like, it was like $20 million. $20 million. Anyway, so I'm going to miss him, though, because I thought he was great. I love the attitude. I love the hustle. But, he did get into a lot of foul trouble, but we do love him. So farewell, bright-skinned did.
And
we love
you. And the Nova Knicks are back together. We got Mikal Bridges coming. The Nova. Do you know how exciting the fucking games are going to be this season?
And half of Pennsylvania is going to be in the stand.
So exciting. So exciting. We have got to get into some of these games this year.
I know. Well, I find it hilarious that the GM of the Nets was like, I just want to make it clear that Michael Bridges would never ask to be traded. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah,
he did not force his way out.
He didn't want to. Yeah, it's like, yeah, sure. It just happens to be a coinky-dink that 3 of his former teammates and best friends are on the team that everybody, it's a sad day.
I think he wanted to win.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's so interesting. Remember when the Nets came? That was all of the press around them. We've heard it so many times. They got a big 3 when it was Kyrie and Kevin and James.
Well, it was before Kyrie and Kevin. Yeah, it was before that.
With all of the change, they're going to win. They're going to bring a championship back to New York.
When they had Paul Pierce. Didn't they have Paul Pierce for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was all that hoopla about Barclays. All I can tell you is there's more excitement around the Liberty than there is around the Nets.
And they're doing great. They're really exciting. I've been watching the games. I
see people walking down the street after Liberty games. So then there's a whole bunch of what appears to be Senegalese guys now playing on the team. Or
we just
West
traded,
Africa. There's a Diop.
I think we just traded for 2, and we drafted a Frenchie. So I'm very excited.
We enjoy that,
Mm-hmm.
Because Tony Parker. We always love the Tony Parker. Love him.
Mm-hmm.
Love the Tony Parker. Listen, Leon Rose is a freaking genius because we're doing all of this under the cap. And the Knicks were always known for throwing money at everybody for no good reason.
For veterans who
it.
are past their prime, like when we paid Yanni, Joaquin Noah. Remember, we paid him like
I
72,
forgot
74
I forgot that guy was on the team.
and we paid him like $72 million.
No, I know. And it was like, who cares? Your father was a great tennis player.
Yeah.
Who cares about you?
You know.
So yeah, I mean, I just always love that. I mean, granted, we live in New York, so that's what we're paying attention to. But I always love it when the Knicks are in the conversation. It's good for everybody. I love it that people went right. That's what yeah. It's good. It's good for everybody. It's wonderful. I love watching. What is it? They have now footage of Afro Jalen. His hair is out. His summer look. And I just find it great. And I like the fact that they like their coach and that he thanked the coach, bright-skinned did when he left. You know, when I look at pictures now, I can definitely see he's black.
No, now when you look at it.
Now
before we were like, what are you talking about? Now when you look at him, we're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of like Jennifer Beals black. Or Rebecca Hall black. Like once you're told Rebecca Hall is black, you look at her and go, yeah, I can say. Yeah.
But like, you know, we all recognize each other. So when I first saw Jennifer Beals and I saw Flashdance, she looked like a light-skinned black lady to me.
All right. Yeah. Well, Isaiah had us fooled for quite some time.
He did for a second.
He did. He was like Nellie Larson would have been proud. He was passing like in a level of like, and I was like, I want to see a picture of your dad.
And then when he opened his mouth and
it was the last name
like,
too.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it was the last name. It was like, yeah. No, he did that funny thing on that podcast, and he said when people found out he was black, they dapped him up in a completely different way. It used to be, "Hey Isaiah, how you doing? You're a black, boom, boom, boom." There's like dap him up right and left. I have to say that one of the things I do love about basketball, other than everything I love about basketball, is that I love seeing white. Which is why I love John Stockton, the player, but which is why Danny Ainge and all those freaking Celtics drove me nuts. It's like, this is one of the few times that white people will be in a predominantly black environment, black culture, and appreciate the stuff about black culture and see what people go through. And I just love it that, you know, Dante DiVincenzo is like, is no joke. And I love that. I love that kind of sense of it just becomes, not that people aren't white and people aren't black, but I do love it, you know, which is why the Celtics were so horrible back in the day, among other reasons, because they just stayed like white. They just stayed white. I don't want that. I want the mixture. Dap up your player. And if you're not even do that, if you're sitting there like, I could just see Danny Ainge going, or Kevin McHale. What am I supposed to do with my hand? What am I supposed to do with my hand?
I'm still stuck on the Celtics stayed white. That's such a crazy statement. That's so nuts. Even for you, that one was nuts.
They did. Come on. Their mascot is a freaking leprechaun.
And on that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. And we're back. Y'all, listen, for all of y'all who live in other parts of the country, I know you're like, bitch, it's always hot, it's always hot, it's always hot.
No, but it's not always hot. No, it's not.
But for us in the Northeast, you know, these really, really humid days are just the worst.
My eyeballs are sweating. No, they're really sweating. I'm going to rub the sweat out of my eyeball. All right. I am actually starting to feel sorry for Drake. Because Drake started the war and has now lost it.
It really, okay. It's like, so Kendrick drops his Not Like Us video. And now at this point, and now the song has never left the top 10. And now it's kind of moved back up again into the top 5, I believe.
Video got 3 million hits in a day.
It just feels like, it's like, okay, I need this. You really don't like this man. I get
you
that.
Really?
You really, really don't. I am not a Drake fan, but I'm kind of ready for us to move on to something
No.
else.
Kendrick is like a dog with a bone with this one. I mean, can we pretty much agree that this is and will probably always be the only top 10 song, top 5 song that talks about someone being a pedophile? I don't remember anything like that. I mean, all right, girl, you'll be a woman soon. All right, that was a long time ago.
A minor,
everything,
and he's jumping hopscotch.
No, jumping hopscotch, having his girlfriend and the kids during the part of the song where Drake has accused those kids of being somebody else's kids, dancing in a wife beater because he's accused Drake of beating his children. Mm-hmm. All of the LA signifiers, Tommy the Clown, and it's almost like an encoded language. And
you know how many people didn't realize the Tommy the Clown part? They don't know who that is and all of that. So
who are you talking to? Right. Who are you talking to?
A lot of people
miss a whole documentary about Tommy the Clown. There's a documentary about that.
That beginning, the slide was Tommy the Clown. That went over so many heads of people who did not understand.
I love Tommy the Clown. I love Tommy the Clown. There's going to be college classes in this feud, but the chef's kiss is the beating up the owl pinata and then the owl in the cage. Now, someone has pointed out, because there's way too much analysis of this, because people have too much time in their hands, that is also a reference to a Taylor Swift. There's some Taylor Swift video where there's an owl, and Kendrick and Taylor are good friends, but I think that's pushing it. The poor, sad little owl sitting there looking sad. No, this is like, I mean, Ether was a great diss track, but I don't think Ether made the top 5. No, I don't think. What was the song? What was the song that Drake, the first No Takeovers? Was that it? What was the Answer records between Jay and Nas? But none of those were like massive radio hits. This is, all right, the pedophilia stuff. Our friend Andrea Duncan Mao made a good point. It's starting to get like, all right, it's a little cringy, as the kids say. Mm-hmm. But holy crap, yeah, he don't like this man. So meanwhile, what this guy has done, what Kendrick has done, is taken. Oh, look, when I put my thumb up, it's thumbs up. He has taken a diss track, continued it, then done a live show based on this diss track, basically, and the renewed interest in him, then dropped a video, then has a top 5 single. And we were all like,
number 1 single. The song actually peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah, we're all like, we're like, what's Kendrick going to be up to? Holy crap, this guy is a genius.
And if you notice, there's a nugget of a new song in this video. So clearly he's got something. I told you before, when he really started poking his head up, I'm like, I bet there's an album coming.
Well, after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you know what is great about Kendrick too? It's like he's killing you with a smile on his face. He never looks, he's always, he's good looking, he's smart. He's got that Pulitzer tacked in his back pocket for like the white, or not even white, for the intellectual. Rap isn't music, it's not poetry. Look at me, I have a Pulitzer, F you. But this is like, there is no way in hell Drake can come back from this unless here's Drake's next move. This is what I predict. Country record.
Oh God.
Why not? Freaking Lana Del Rey.
And I listened to her new song with Quavo.
Horrible.
And I'm like, is this supposed to be country? Because where's all of the outrage about this? Because this doesn't sound like a country record.
No, it sounds like, I can say it, a country record. You know I don't like her.
I know you don't like her.
And no, you know what I actually don't like about her grabbing a rapper on a track, honestly, because, look, she does have a talent and she is, but can you think of someone's music, a major whose music is less influenced by black music than Lana Del Rey? I'm talking about a major artist. I'm not talking about, so she's left interested in, she's less derivative or influenced by black music, but then every time she's got something going on, she grabs a rapper. 1-800-GRAB-A-RAPPER. Now, I don't blame Quavo. He's got bills to pay, and I didn't blame A$AP Rocky, but I just find her to be a little tiresome. But anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I hate that song. So poor Drake. We can poor Drake. Did you see that picture of him at the white party, at Mike Rubin's party?
Mm-hmm.
The comments are really funny because he looks really sad, and somebody said, "Well, he is half white after all," and I resent that as someone who is white. Come on, relatively good for my age, right?
Yeah, you look great for your age.
I don't look wrinkly.
No,
I don't look wrinkly, but he looked like he had just lost his dog, his girlfriend, his Raptor tickets, everything.
I just think he supposedly has an album coming.
Who, Drake?
Yes. I'm hoping that he just gets back to doing what he does. Let's not try to keep this thing going.
What does he do?
Even with Kendrick, it's like, I don't feel like we need to keep it. You have made your point. You put the gold stamp on it. You have won this battle. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah, we have to. But I mean, Kendrick has won. I mean, this has been going on now for like 5 months. He's managed to drag this out into 5 months.
Which is
not drag in a bad way. Yeah. And this will lead into our kind of topic of the day. But he has turned a spring song into a summer song. He has made an anthem. He has made a freaking anthem.
I will say, living in Harlem, I hear it
everywhere.
Coming out of cars. I hear it coming
everywhere.
Out of the parks. I hear it when
because it's a great song.
4th of July when people are barbecuing on the street. And it is that beat. It really kind of is one of those you can't help but to do a little shimmy, shimmy, shake when you hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great song. All right. So we were talking a couple weeks ago or last week. Time. What is time? What is time, Courtney?
Time goes by so slowly.
I was going to say time. I was going to say time. I was going to sing the Culture Club song, and I can't remember because my brain.
Time won't give me time.
Yeah. Right. Or time after time.
Like they got something.
All right, Malene.
The horror on your face when I posted that, you're like, oh no. I'm like, it's only opening in France.
Yeah, we'll let people like France doesn't have enough to deal with right now. Country's falling apart. There's poo in the Seine. I mean, come on. All right.
They are literally going to let people jump and swim in the Seine.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, we digress. That should be our motto. We digress. Mm-hmm. So there's always a song of the summer. I mean, it's like England has the Christmas song and people vote on it. There's always a song of the summer. And then there's people who like kind of cheat and put the word summer in the song. So come on, that's cheating. And it's the song, it's the song you hear everywhere. It's the song that you can't get out of your head because summer's when we're outside and we're doing, in theory.
It's usually a big hit. It's usually the #1 record and stays there for a minute.
Well, it's usually a big hit or, in recent memory, Watermelon Sugar, in the, Despacito, Hot in Here, When Doves Cry. It's like
as it was that went from
as it was,
being
of
in
course.
the spring. All the way through
all
the
way
summer.
As it was.
Blurred Lines was one of those songs that was a hit all the way through the summer. When Crazy in Love was out, it was #1 for 8 weeks, all the way through the summer.
And it's funny because summer now, due to global warming, does not have the joyful, it used to be summer, we're out of school, we can go to the beach. Now it's like summer, oh my God, we're all going to die.
And everybody's going to the beach at Coney Island and keeps every week somebody else is drowning. It's a little crazy.
Well, and it's also hot as hell at the beach because you have 5 million people. But song of the summer. So I honestly don't pay a lot of attention to the charts, not because I'm so fabulous, but because I tend to not, but you look at the charts and it is obviously an indication of what people are listening to. And so for a couple of weeks, summer is when the pop music reigns. Summer is when pop. This is the first time in terms of the 200, the Billboard 200, which is album that women are 4 of the 5, not first time in over a year that women have 4 of the top 5.
Right.
But right now, so you have Kendrick Song of the Summer, but Shabuzi's got a #1, which is quite extraordinary considering the type of artist, the genre of artist he has. Someone's going to have to explain Post Malone to me. I know he's talented, but I wanted to the Sabrina Carpenter, our friend Chris Malafi, who does a charts
breaker. He's the charts god. He's
the chart. No, he is 1-800 charts. Mm-hmm. And he was, Sabrina Carpenter out of the Espresso, but the song that went #1 is Please, Please.
Right.
Which is a weird song.
Yeah, but it only stayed number one for 1 week. So I'm like, when I was paying attention to that, I was like, is this going to be the song of the summer? But it falling quickly changed my mind on that. Like, and then I'm like, well, is it not like us? Is it not like but I feel like the songs of the summer are usually undeniable. Music has just been in a weird place. It's been a shit year for really big records that kind of maintain and really grip us all.
But that's because we're so segmented now.
Yeah.
Because something could be gripped us. I mean, Not Like Us, I think, is the song of the summer because of the cultural and impact, because it's kind of changed the conversation. Please, Please, Please is a great song. It's a weird song. It's got a little country flavor. It's interesting that 3 of the songs in the top 10 have definitely country-ish overtones. I guess the Fatwa Morgan Whalen, that lasted 5 minutes? That was 5 minutes of and again, somewhat disappointed that an artist, Post Malone, I'm looking at you, who is very talented, who made his rep on the back of black music, is getting into bed with Morgan Whalen, but whatever.
Well, my
Billie
question
Eilish,
is, when do we get to say if somebody makes a mistake, how long do they have to pay for that mistake?
Well, I don't know. This is just I just feel like, but Morgan Whale's a big hit. The Billie Eilish song is great. I am very, very embarrassingly late to Chappell Roan. I was told about her months ago, and I listened to it. I went, oh, this is good. I think it's a little too young for me. I'm all in now. I'm all in. I am all in with her. Her singles are Hot to Go is great. Her new single is great. It just finally went into the top 10. So I'm all in. So for me, in terms of the pop angle of it, and then we can talk about what's going on.
She's got the young kids, and she definitely has the young queer kids. Like, it still hasn't grabbed me yet. You know what I mean? But that whole audience, she's been playing on these festivals, and they've had to move her performances to the bigger stages. Yeah. Because the audience has grown. She went from playing to 5,000 to 50,000. Yeah, she
went to Bowery Ballroom to headlining stuff. Yeah. Sabrina Carpenter too. Well, I didn't know of Sabrina Carpenter because she's supposedly the inspiration for driver's license.
But she also, Sabrina, opened on the Eras Tour, in the U.S. for Taylor Swift.
So did Chappell Roan.
Yeah.
So did Chappell Roan.
I think that some of that is getting that audience, which is a very captive audience. Yeah. That if you get them and they're into you, they're going to support all your things.
Well, those girls, and it's interesting. And Billie always, that Billie Eilish record is great. But, Taylor Swift does not have a single out this year in terms of dominance. And it's interesting.
I thought about it. Fortnite, it's interesting because Fortnite was the single from Torture's Poets. And it hasn't been another focus track after that. No. Which acts with the album doing well. Maybe she is realizing a little bit there's a lot of me. You know what I mean? So let's space some of this out.
I'm sorry. No.
Finish. What are you going to say?
No, I was going to say, but what's also interesting is that this, of all her albums, this is the one that got the most, it did not get overwhelming. No, it's killing. I mean, it's undeniable.
Because everybody was like, it's too long. It's too much stuff. But people who I know who are not big fans of her, love this record. Like Miguel he loves this album.
He
loves this album.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of her, but she is. Yeah, and we've had this conversation.
I liked Lover more. If I like Lover.
I am just
and Reputation.
I like the one song that people who don't like Taylor Swift like. Trouble. The Trouble.
Trouble.
It's the one that doesn't sound like her.
Trouble. Trouble.
Right. Mm-hmm. I like that one. But yeah, the song of summer. So there is
do you think it's a bar song, Tipsy by Shaboozey? Which is now on top of he's been sitting for weeks on top at number 1 on the country chart. First black male, I believe, to hold that position, and now he's number 1 also.
Darius
on the Hot
Rucker,
100. He's never had a number 1.
And Kane Brown
and Charlie Pride evidently has never had a number 1 on that chart.
Kane Brown, did Kane Brown have a number 1?
No.
All right. How much do you credit the Shaboozey thing to any possible spillover from Beyonce?
I 1000%. You know why?
That's what I thought.
Because it was different. First of all, do you know who his godmother is?
No.
Dolly Parton.
She's everyone's goddamn godmother. Why isn't she? Wait a minute. All right, what does it take to be Dolly Parton's godchild?
Because at this point, I'm like, hi, sign me up. Sign me up.
I've heard maybe that's how Drake comes back. He becomes Dolly Parton's godchild.
Well, he's Connecticut, so he's going to have to come out with like Anne Murray.
She's dead.
Is she?
I believe so. But that would be a real coup. I believe Anne Murray. You mean Anne Murray, our first introduction to what a lesbian was when we were children?
Was she a lesbian?
Sure. Come on. Sure.
You were about to say, look at her. That's Amy. This show's so
Or was she Canadian? I can't tell.
This show is so...
I can't. Anne Murray was...
He'll try to pull out Katie Lang. He'll need someone who's country.
Nobody knows who Katie Lang is anymore, sadly.
Here is...
he's going to do a song with Shaboozey.
Yeah, no, Shaboozey won't do it. Well, Shaboozey might. Here's the thing that I think helped him. Because Dolly Parton... Yes, because Dolly Parton is his godmother, and Dolly knew Beyonce was working on the album and the new Jolene. She kind of, I believe, set up almost like an introduction. So because she had been working on this Cowboy Carter for years, he knew that he had songs coming on the album. So, he'd been recording an album. He was ready. So when her album dropped and all that press came, remember, he dropped his single like a week or two later. He was ready. Album. Yeah, he was ready. Like he was ready to go and had a video and all of the things. A lot of the other artists got called in later to record songs. So it wasn't enough time for all of them to be absolutely ready and set up the way he was. So his timing, because he has known for a while that he was going to be on her album, was that's showing having really good management and everybody being like, if we're going to benefit from this, we need to be ready to go once this goes. So that's why I think he is absolutely having the moment too.
I'm going to assume that he's industry if she's his, who are his family? I'm all joking aside about Dolly Parton. Yeah.
I think there is some connection. I'm not quite sure. You know,
there's gotta be.
While we're doing, let me look it up while we're
go to the Google.
There has to be.
Out of all the people on the Beyonce record, the country artist, he's the one that would be the most obvious one who could get a hit single because all those other women are fantastic, but they're still viewed in the Americana lane, which is very different. This is a pop song. It's a pop country song, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that.
And remember, this is also his third album. So he's not new. He put out his first album in 2018. So he is a person who's been making music and he's been on soundtracks and different stuff for a long time.
So is he related to anybody famous?
It's not saying anything here, but it's like, it is interesting that Dolly... It's
got to be someone. It could be something like a session musician she worked. It could be anything. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that his grandmother was Loretta Lynn. It could just be something as simple as... But that's just... We need to work on being her godchildren. Mm-hmm. We could bring so much to her. Other than nothing.
And she could bring so much to us like cash.
She could get us Knicks tickets.
She could get us Knicks season tickets, box seats.
She could get us the Knicks. She could get us the Knicks.
She could get us.
She could get Jalen and Josh sitting on either side of us.
She funded a vaccine. I'm pretty sure she could figure out how to get us a Knicks situation.
She funded a
freaking
vaccine. I know it's funny. She's a genius.
I'm happy for him, and this is what brings me back to someone who worked in management. Having good managers and smart managers is really important because having people who help you make sure all your stuff is set up. It is like Normani. it is sad to me that this album has crashed and the whole thing has burned and people's
over,
interest
right?
in it
It's
has
done.
burned. It's done. Because she was supposed to perform on the BET Awards and supposedly had an injury, so pulled out. And it's
that's
like that.
fake. That's the oldest excuse in the world. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but that is the oldest excuse in the world.
It is the oldest excuse. And my thing is, that was your one major TV appearance to promote this record. This is it. And the truth of the matter is, there was a tidal wave. And you were on a surfboard at the top of that tidal wave. And people don't understand how this industry works. If you let a wave crash, they always think they're going to catch a next one just as high.
No, there is no next wave.
That's not how it works. Like, when you have everybody's interest, you have to go. You have to be ready to go. You have to go. Because this industry is very fickle. People are fickle. And if you don't capture their interest when you are in a moment of zeitgeist, then you're always paddling, trying to catch another wave.
So Song of the Summer, I think it's going to be like a toss-up. I think it's like what you're hearing. But I do think in terms of...
I think it's going to be different things to different people.
I do think in terms of a moment, like a cultural stop-in-your-track moment, it is Kendrick. Because he's dominating the conversations. He's dominating. And unlike Beyonce, he is taking that moment to do something about it.
And people like fights, right? They like a fight. So it feels
like a fight. Yeah. And he has generated goodwill, even though this is the pettiest song ever.
Yeah.
And he's just and bringing the wife and kids out is great. All right. I have to tell you about something I was listening to. And all right, well, let me tell you about this documentary, because we were talking about Dua Lipa before. You have Hulu or access to Hulu? You can find it.
Yeah.
You'll find it. Okay. There is a documentary which just popped up randomly called Camden, as in the neighborhood, the district in London. In London. And it is at least 4 parts. I'm on part 3. It is executive produced by Dua Lipa and her dad. And it is directed by the man who did the Amy documentary. It's fantastic. It's basically the history of the Camden Town, London scene. Everyone from Madness to the Roots. I had totally forgotten that the Roots lived in London for 5 years to establish their career. Gilles Peterson is in it. Talking Loud. I had forgotten that was out of Camden. Youngblood, Amy. Well, obviously they don't have Amy talking, but Amy Winehouse. It kind of jumps back and forth time-wise. Coldplay, who got one of their big starts, just about the Camden community, which is musical community, there's tons of clubs there, some of the most important, biggest clubs. And it's a great documentary, great interviews.
I love a music doc. I will totally.
Oh my God, this is really good, because for Oasis, Noel Gallagher, and anything Noel Gallagher says, I'm like, yeah, no, he's hilarious.
I do not understand why you love them so much. I just don't.
Oh, because they're great. Because they're great. That's it. That's why I love them so much, because they're great. But he makes these great points about that. And it's about that moment in time where you are singing to the people that you are. You're singing, your audience is that. But anyway, it's a great documentary. It's on Hulu. And I love the fact, and this gets back to our love of Dua Lipa. This is what she's putting her name on. This kind of stuff. She's not putting her name on, and she is in it prominently, as well she should. But it's also a good look at her backstory, not her Kosovo, London backstory, that we all know. Her backstory as an artist, which is interesting. Anyway, it's a great, great documentary. It's called Camden. It's not about New Jersey. It's about London. And you've been to Camden Town before? Have you been?
No.
It's kind of like the East Village in the 80s, Brooklyn it's just sort of a mishmash of everything. And when you go there are murals of Amy Winehouse everywhere.
Really?
I mean, and when she won the Grammy, she shouted out, Camden Town, holding it down. I mean, she is Little Sims is in it. She also got her break there. The Gilles Peterson stuff is great. I did not know I forgot that Talking Loud was his label, that he started that. Norman J is in it. Soul to Soul. Oh my God. The stuff about Soul to Soul is fascinating. It's It's a great documentary. I highly recommend it. It's
You know
on
what else
Hulu.
is great right now that's on PBS? There's a three-part docu-series. It was produced by the BBC that aired there earlier this year, and you can watch it now on all three parts on PBS. Disco, the soundtrack of a revolution.
Oh, I saw that. I played it for my class.
So good. It was so good.
I played it for my class, and they were all like, yeah, this is boring.
Part 3 to me is the best, and the whole part about Larry Levan and the Paradise Garage, great. And it's really, 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 really good.
I also, so I was up visiting the wife, and it's so funny. A lot of the music she would come to my house and go through my CDs and make compilation tapes. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
And so I turned her on to Lewis Taylor, and I turned on to Sharon Nelson. And so I'm listening. She's transferring basically her tapes onto Spotify playlists. And I'm sitting there going, wow, this is really good. What is it? She goes, this is one of your records. I'm like, it is? I don't remember. Glenn Scott. Remember him?
No, I don't.
Oh, you would like it. He was on Epic, I believe. 1999. We need to do a whole show on black music. Wait.
Oh my God, I totally remember him.
Vertigo. The album was called Vertigo.
I totally remember him.
Heaven was the single. He came out, I'm telling you, 1998, 1999 for black music, we talk about alternative, weird black music.
He opened for Alicia Keys on her first tour, I believe.
That makes sense, yeah. Olu, all these people, so I was like, oh my God, this is so good. So yeah, I was listening to Glenn Scott, Vertigo of all, who'da thunk it? Yeah, that 1998, 1999. That's something worth. We should look at that because that's like post. That's when. Come on, Amy. What's the second D'Angelo record called?
Oh my God! Wait, the first one was
Voodoo.
Let me just.
That's when all that came out.
The 90s was the 90s into the early aughts was a stellar period for music. The 80s, 70s, 80s were great. The fucking 90s, man.
Yep.
Stellar.
Right. You got Britpop. You got, no, it was great. And they were signing people, obviously, like, oh, we've had success with Seal. But there was enough difference. And you and I have a hard on for British soul music anyway. So, we're clearly prejudiced. But look at that. We have to do that. Massive Attack, trip hop. There were all these very clearly defined genres that were for real genres, not somebody making something up in their head genres. Acid jazz. They talk about how acid jazz started in this documentary. It's a great documentary. Sorry.
We totally need to do a show on like the importance of Massive Attack and dig into those albums, especially those first 3 albums, man.
Oh my God. But this was like, I literally come home and I have to stop saying literally. It's such bad English. But I was prepared to, because when I'm at her house, I watch the stuff on the platforms I don't have. So we watched Eric, which is so bizarre, and Sugar, which is also bizarre, but I could watch Colin Farrell peeling a banana and be happy. Yeah, they're great documentary. I know we love a music documentary.
I love a music documentary.
Yeah, you would love. No, seriously,
it brings me back to a time. It brings me to a place. Sometimes when I'm watching ones that are around the time that I was really in the music industry, and you see people that in them, and some of the stories and different things. It's just, I love it because I like information. You
saw the Stax documentary, right?
I did.
Oof. How good.
That was so good. There was so much I learned. I felt like I knew a lot about Stax, but there was so much I learned in that doc.
Same here.
If you guys have not seen that, you really need to.
It's on Max. It's on Max.
You absolutely need to watch the Stax documentary.
So good. Because, you and I are the same way. It's like, what can you possibly teach me that already? Oh, my God, I had no idea.
And then it will show you how much honestly, what it also did was just break my heart in a way that it shows you how much the music industry, just for decades, has just been fucking people over with a smile.
All right. Well, hold that thought, because there has been a rebuttal from Jerry Wexler's kids that say a lot of that is not true about what Atlantic did.
Well, how would the kids know?
Because Paul Wexler has been in the industry for years. Paul Wexler was an A&R man in Atlantic, and Jerry. So that said, it's still a great documentary. I know exactly what you're saying. That said, it's a great documentary. So we highly Anything you're listening to other than the sound of sweat dripping off your body?
I do. I have been listening. That part. Let me just tell you something. I'm sitting here right now about the fan. I've actually been listening to lots of old shit, nothing new. The new Cupcake album. I like Dauntless Manifesto. It's really good.
You have the best names for your groups.
I really like Cupcake. That's been great. And just everything else has been kind of old. Because nothing new has really grabbed me. I have to be honest.
Well, summer,
nothing is grabbing me.
Well, like we said, the summer stuff is now out, and now it's going to be that Hozier song is so stupid. I'm sorry. I mean, I kind of like him. I enjoy a white man who sings bluesy, but I'm like, he seems to me like the sort of like, he's becoming like the new Adam Levine or John Mayer. It's like, oh, put Hozier on the track. And he seems like a nice guy, seems like a very nice guy, but the song is just like, I have no idea what that song is about. Yeah, he was turning into like the white Andra Day with that one song.
Oh God,
sorry. And she's a great singer, but all right, we have to. Now we're so hot, we're degenerating into like. Should we wrap it? Oh. Can I give my little spiel?
Yeah, do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so guess what, kids? We have become corporate shills, but in the best way. In the best way. We have joined partnership with this wonderful company called Codax, Codax. And if you use our promo code, which is IMMA5967, check out Good Feels. I decided we'll work with this in honor of my lovely cannabis, trend-setting in the cannabis era, Courtney M. Anderson. The M stands for marijuana. Good Feels, which is cannabis seltzer. Obviously, you're not going to get high drinking it. It's got like hemp derived. This is, but it's really, really tasty. It is very refreshing. We love seltzer. All New Yorkers love seltzer. Everybody loves seltzer. It's refreshing. It's cold. It's all sorts of fruit flavors. It's called Good Feels, which I like the name of it too. So if you go on their website, and we will put the tag, you get 20% off, young men and women. So what's the no harm, no foul, right? IMMA5967. We'll post the information, but check it out. We like it.
And we will also see you next week because we're hot. We're sweating.
We're hot.
It's not... Because, we have to turn everything off when we're recording so that you don't hear background noise. And let me just tell you something. When you're sitting, you feel like there's a puddle under your ass cheeks.
Ew.
I feel like when I get up, I feel like I'm going to make a noise when I get up from the chair. It's just going to be like...
And on that note,
see you next week. Remember, like, share, post, tell a friend. We'll see you next week on the Pantheon Podcast Network. Toodles. Bye.
Bye, guys.